Hey there, and welcome. Today we're diving deep into the story of the Maya civilization, one of the most brilliant, complex, and mysterious cultures in human history. This isn't just about pyramids and calendars. It's about a society that mastered astronomy, developed its own writing system, built massive cities in the jungle, and left behind a legacy that's still alive today. So, first things first, who were the Maya? The Maya were an ancient people who lived in Mesoamerica, a region that covers modern-day southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and parts of Honduras and El Salvador. They weren't a single empire like the Romans or Incas. Instead, they were a network of city-states, each with its own king, government, and unique traditions. But they all shared a common language family, religious beliefs, calendar systems, and social structures. The timeline of Maya civilization is usually split into three main periods: Pre-Classic, 2000 BCE, 250 CE; the Roots, early farming, village life, and the rise of the first cities; Classic, 250 to 900 CE; the Golden Age, huge cities, science, writing, art, and powerful dynasties; Post-Classic, 900 to 1500 CE, political shifts, new cities, and the lead-up to European contact. But before the Maya became dominant, they were influenced by older cultures, especially the Olmecs, often called the mother civilization of Mesoamerica. The Olmecs were around from roughly 1600 to 400 BCE and were known for their giant stone heads, ceremonial centers, and early writing. Many of their ideas, like complex calendars and sacred architecture, were passed on to the Maya. One of the earliest Maya cities we know of is Nakbe, followed by the massive site of El Mirador, deep in the Guatemalan jungle. Built around 600 BCE, El Mirador had huge pyramids and housed tens of thousands of people. Imagine that, a city of skyscraper-sized temples rising out of the rainforest more than 2,000 years ago. By the time we get to the early centuries CE, cities like Tikal and Caminaljuyu were already emerging as political and cultural centers. The Maya were experimenting with monumental architecture, ceremonial rituals, and, most importantly, the beginnings of writing and complex calendar systems. And this was just the beginning. Now we're heading into the heart of the Maya story, the classic period from around 250 to 900 CE. This was when the Maya civilization really hit its stride. Cities exploded in size, kings ruled with divine power, and the Maya reached their peak in art, science, architecture, and religion. Some of the most powerful and famous city-states during this time were Tikal in modern-day Guatemala, Calakmul in Mexico, Palenque, Copan, Caracol, Quirigua, and many more. Each of these cities had its own dynasty, often passed down from father to son, with rulers known as Ajah, which basically means lord or king. These kings weren't just political leaders, they were believed to be intermediaries between the gods and the people. That meant they had to perform rituals, bloodletting, and other ceremonies to keep the universe in balance. Two cities, Tikal and Calakmul, became bitter rivals. Think of them like the ancient Mesoamerican version of Athens versus Sparta or Rome versus Carthage. For centuries, they fought wars, built alliances, and competed for influence across the Maya world. Let's not forget the incredible leaders. One of the most iconic Maya rulers was Chichen Pakal, often called Pakal the Great, who ruled Palenque for nearly 70 years. He took the throne as a child and turned Palenque into a jewel of Maya culture. His tomb, found deep inside the Temple of the Inscriptions, is one of the most important archaeological discoveries ever made in the Americas, complete with a massive stone sarcophagus and beautifully carved glyphs. During this golden age, the Maya built temples, palaces, ball courts, and observatories. Many structures were perfectly aligned with celestial events like solstices and equinoxes. They didn't use metal tools or wheels, but they carved limestone with incredible precision and raised massive structures using only manpower. The Maya were also obsessed with time. Their calendars were unbelievably complex. They used the Tzolk'in, a 260-day sacred calendar, the Hab, a 365-day solar calendar, the calendar round, a 52-year cycle, and the famous long count calendar, which could track thousands of years. And here's something wild. The Maya were among the first people in the world to understand and use the concept of zero in mathematics. They had a base 20 vigesimal number system, and their symbols for numbers were incredibly efficient. So during the Classic period, the Maya weren't just building cool stuff. They were creating a civilization that combined science, religion, politics, and art in ways few others have. But even at their peak, signs of trouble were starting to appear. So the Classic period was the golden age of the Maya: massive cities, powerful rulers, booming populations. And then, almost suddenly, between 750 and 900 CE, things started to fall apart. One by one, major cities in the southern lowlands were abandoned. Temples were left unfinished. Monuments stopped being carved. The jungle started swallowing up the cities. What happened? Historians and archaeologists have debated this for decades. The truth is, it wasn't just one cause. It was a perfect storm of problems that hit the Maya world all at once. Let's break it down. 1. Environmental collapse. One of the biggest culprits was likely drought. Climate data from lake beds and cave stalactites shows that the Maya region suffered multiple long-term droughts during this time. That's a huge deal because Maya cities relied on seasonal rainfall for drinking water and farming. No rain meant failed crops, starvation, and thirst. And when you're dealing with a population in the tens of thousands, that's a crisis. 2. Overpopulation and resource depletion. During the Classic period, the Maya population may have reached millions. Cities like Tikal, Copan, and Caracol became incredibly dense. Forests were cleared to make way for farming and to provide fuel for plaster and cooking. Eventually, the environment just couldn't keep up with the demand. 3. Political chaos and war. At the same time, there was intense political competition. City-states like Tikal and Calakmul were constantly at war, forming alliances, betraying each other, and dragging smaller cities into conflicts. Monuments from this time start to show more war captives, more battle scenes, and more destruction. These endless wars drained resources and weakened the cities. 4. Social and religious breakdown. Here's the thing. Maya rulers weren't just kings. They were supposed to be divine mediators, keeping the gods happy through rituals, blood sacrifices, and ceremonies. But when the rain stopped and the wars kept coming, people started losing faith. If your god-king can't protect you from famine or invasion, maybe he's not so divine after all. All of this led to a massive population decline, city abandonment, and cultural fragmentation, especially in the southern lowlands, places like Tikal, Copan, and Palenque. By the 10th century, many once great cities were quiet ruins. But here's the twist. The Maya didn't vanish. In the north, especially in the Yucatan Peninsula, new centers of power were rising. Cities like Chichen Itza, Uxmal, and Mayapan were stepping into the spotlight. This marked the beginning of the post-Classic period, a new chapter for the Maya world. So the classic Maya cities in the southern jungles were fading. But up north in the Yucatan Peninsula, things were heating up. The post-Classic period, roughly 900 to 1500 CE, was all about new cities, new power structures, and new connections, including with other major Mesoamerican civilizations. Let's talk about the biggest new player, Chichen Itza. Located in the northern Yucatan, Chichen Itza rose to power around the 10th century. It became the largest and most powerful city in the region, with influences that went beyond traditional Maya culture. The city had enormous pyramids, massive ball courts, sacred cenotes, natural sinkholes, and advanced infrastructure. But what made it really unique was its blending of cultures. Here's where things get interesting. Many scholars believe that the Toltecs, a powerful civilization from central Mexico, played a big role in Chichen Itza's rise. There's strong evidence of Toltec influence in the city's art and architecture. For example, the Temple of the Warriors features carvings of feathered serpents, human sacrifices, and warrior columns, all hallmarks of Toltec style. The famous feathered serpent god Kukulkan, essentially the Maya version of the Aztec Quetzalcoatl, took center stage in Chichen Itza's religious life. Whether the Toltecs actually invaded or the Maya just adopted their style is still debated. Either way, this cultural fusion made Chichen Itza a powerhouse in the post-classic world. Not far away, the city of Uxmal also flourished around the same time. Its architecture is some of the most beautiful in all of Mesoamerica, elegant, geometric, and perfectly proportioned. Then, by the 1200s, the city of Mayapan rose up and tried to recreate the glory of earlier Maya confederations. But this era wasn't all peace and prosperity. The post-classic period was marked by frequent warfare, shifting alliances, and regional rivalries. The political system was less about divine kingship and more about merchant elites and military rulers. Trade networks expanded, connecting the Maya to the wider Mesoamerican world, including the Aztecs to the west and civilizations as far south as Panama. Despite all the changes, many Maya traditions continued, including their calendar systems, writing, rituals, and architecture. And some cities even thrived up until the arrival of a new and deadly force, the Spanish. By the late 1400s and early 1500s, Maya civilization was still very much alive, especially in cities like Tayasal, Nochpeten, and Itzamkanac. But they were about to face their toughest challenge yet. By the early 1500s, the powerful empires of the Aztecs and Incas were falling to Spanish conquistadors. But the Maya? Their story was different. Unlike the Aztec Empire, which was relatively centralized under Emperor Montezuma, the Maya civilization was made up of hundreds of independent city-states scattered across difficult jungle terrain. That meant the Spanish couldn't conquer them all at once. Instead, it was a long, drawn-out process that lasted over 170 years. The first Spaniards to explore the Yucatan Peninsula were led by Francisco Hernández de Córdoba in 1517, followed by Juan de Grijalva and then Hernán Cortés. They reported seeing massive cities and fierce people, but didn't manage to conquer much immediately. It wasn't until Francisco de Montejo, starting in 1527, that serious efforts to subdue the Maya began. The Spanish faced stiff resistance. Maya warriors used guerrilla tactics, knowledge of the jungle, and centuries-old fortifications to their advantage. The Maya fought to protect their lands, their people, and their way of life. One of the last major Maya strongholds, the island city of Noypeten on Lake Petén Itzá in present-day Guatemala, resisted Spanish conquest until 1697, nearly 200 years after the fall of the Aztec capital Tenochtitlan. During this period, the Spanish brought disease, forced labor, and Christian missions, which devastated Maya populations and cultures. But the Maya didn't simply disappear. They adapted, blending new beliefs with old traditions and maintaining their languages and customs through centuries of colonial rule. Even after conquest, the Maya continued to resist, most famously during the Caste War of Yucatan in the 19th century, a brutal, decades-long rebellion against Mexican control. The Maya fought to reclaim their rights and lands, proving their resilience once again. Today, millions of Maya people still live across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. They speak more than 30 different Maya languages and continue to practice many ancient customs, including weaving, farming, and religious ceremonies. Their history isn't just in the past, it's alive in the present. The Maya civilization left behind a legacy that continues to influence and inspire people worldwide. Their achievements in science, mathematics, writing, and art were nothing short of remarkable, especially considering the tools they had available. Let's start with astronomy. The Maya were master skywatchers. They could predict solar and lunar eclipses, understand the cycles of planets like Venus, and align their temples and cities with the stars and the sun's movements. The famous pyramid of El Castillo at Chichen Itza, for example, casts a shadow during the equinoxes that looks like a serpent slithering down the steps. A perfect example of their celestial awareness. In mathematics, the Maya independently developed the concept of zero, something that many ancient civilizations never fully grasped. They used a vigesimal, base 20, number system with dots and bars to represent numbers, allowing them to do complex calculations essential for their calendar and astronomy. Speaking of writing, the Maya had one of the only fully developed writing systems in the pre-Columbian Americas. Their hieroglyphic script combined logogram symbols representing words and syllabic signs. Maya scribes recorded histories, genealogies, rituals, and poetry on stone monuments, pottery, and codices, folding bark paper books. Sadly, most codices were destroyed by Spanish conquistadors, but the few that remain offer invaluable insights into Maya culture. Their architecture was equally impressive. Maya cities were urban centers with palaces, temples, ball courts, and plazas, all built without metal tools or the wheel. They crafted intricate stone carvings and stucco decorations filled with religious symbolism and historical narratives. Another fascinating Maya contribution was their ball game, known as Poctapac, or simply the Maya ball game. Played with a heavy rubber ball, the game had deep religious significance and was often linked to myths about life, death, and rebirth. Some courts still stand today, reminding us of how central the game was to Maya society. And here's a cool, lesser-known fact: the Maya were experts in agriculture and land management. They developed techniques like terracing, raised fields, and slash and burn farming adapted to their challenging environment. Some evidence even suggests they practiced early forms of soil conservation to sustain their cities. Finally, the living Maya culture continues to preserve many traditions, from weaving colorful textiles to celebrating ancient festivals, proving that Maya civilization is not just a relic of the past, but a vibrant culture today. Let's zoom in on some of the most iconic Maya cities that tell the story of this incredible civilization. Each city was like its own kingdom, with unique rulers, architecture, and cultural achievements. Tikal in modern Guatemala is often called the Rome of the Maya. It was one of the largest and most powerful cities during the Classic period. At its peak, Tikal was home to over 100,000 people. The city boasts towering pyramids, like Temple 4, which rises over 70 meters, 230 feet high, one of the tallest pre-Columbian structures in the Americas. Tikal's rulers, such as Jasau-Chan Kawil-Furj, left behind stelae, carved stone monuments that tell stories of war, alliances, and dynastic power. Moving east, we have Copan, located in present-day Honduras. Copan is famous for its detailed sculptures and hieroglyphic stairway, a massive staircase carved with thousands of glyphs that records the history of its rulers. One of Copan's greatest kings was Waxaclajun Ub'a Kawil, also known as 18 Rabbit. He ruled in the 8th century and expanded the city's influence through warfare and alliances. Another star of Maya architecture is Palenque in Mexico. Ruled by Pakal the Great, Palenque is known for its elegant, well-preserved temples and the spectacular Temple of the Inscriptions, where Pakal's tomb was discovered. The intricate carvings and bas-reliefs here reveal detailed myths and royal genealogies, offering deep insights into Maya beliefs and history. Then there's Uxmal, a standout city of the post-classic period, famous for its smooth, curved pyramids and unique Puc-style architecture. The governor's palace here is a masterpiece of Maya engineering and art. Don't forget Chichen Itza, the northern city we talked about earlier. The massive step pyramid called El Castillo dominates the city's center, but there's also the Great Ball Court, the largest in Mesoamerica, where the intense and ritualistic Maya ballgame was played. What makes Maya art and architecture so special is its symbolism and detail. Carvings and murals often depict gods, animals, and mythological scenes, blending religious beliefs with history. Jade, obsidian, and colorful pigments were common materials used by Maya artisans. Each city's rulers carefully commissioned these works not just to decorate, but to legitimize their power, celebrate victories, and communicate with the gods. They saw their kings as both warriors and priests, essential links between heaven and earth. Religion was at the very heart of Maya life. The Maya believed the world was alive with spirits, gods, and supernatural forces that affected everything, from the weather to the success of crops and the fate of kings and commoners alike. At the core of Maya religion was a complex pantheon of gods, each responsible for different parts of the natural and spiritual worlds. Some of the most important gods included Itzamna, the supreme creator god associated with the sky, wisdom, and writing. He was believed to have created the world and humanity. Chak, the god of rain and storms, crucial in a civilization dependent on agriculture. The Maya often performed rituals to please Chak during droughts. Kukulkan, or Quetzalcoatl in Aztec culture. The feathered serpent god, symbolizing wind, learning, and renewal. Puch, the god of death and the underworld, often depicted with skeletal features. The Maya believed in multiple layers of the universe, the sky above, the earth where humans lived, and the underworld below, called Xibalba. Kings and priests acted as mediators between these worlds, performing ceremonies to maintain cosmic balance. One of the most famous Maya stories comes from the Popol Vuh, a sacred text from the Quiche Maya of Guatemala. It tells the creation of the world, the adventures of the hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, and the origin of humans. This myth blends themes of life, death, sacrifice, and rebirth. Rituals were elaborate and often included bloodletting, where nobles and priests would offer their own blood to the gods, as well as human sacrifice during important ceremonies or after victories in war. While this might seem brutal, it was considered necessary to keep the universe functioning. Temples and pyramids were built as sacred spaces for these rituals. Observatories allowed priests to watch the skies and time ceremonies perfectly with celestial events. Maya religion was deeply intertwined with politics. Kings claimed divine right to rule by linking their lineage to gods or mythical ancestors. They performed rituals to legitimize their authority and demonstrate their connection to the divine. Even today, many Maya people still practice versions of these ancient beliefs, blending them with Christianity or other faiths, a testament to the enduring power of Maya spirituality. The Maya civilization might be ancient, but the Maya people are very much alive today, proud, vibrant, and deeply connected to their rich heritage. Over 6 million Maya live across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They speak more than 30 different Maya languages, such as Quiche, Yucatec, and Quechua. These languages are still taught in schools and passed down through families. Modern Maya communities keep many traditions alive, including weaving colorful textiles, practicing traditional agriculture, and celebrating ancient festivals that blend Maya beliefs with Catholicism. For example, the Day of the Dead celebrations and local patron saint festivals often include Maya rituals and symbolism. Maya art and crafts, from intricate embroidery to pottery and wood carving, remain vital sources of cultural pride and economic livelihood. Many Maya artists also mix traditional and contemporary styles, creating works that speak to their history and modern realities. Despite this resilience, the Maya face significant challenges. Many communities struggle with poverty, lack of access to education and healthcare, and political marginalization. Land disputes and environmental threats also affect their traditional territories. But there are hopeful signs. Indigenous activists and organizations are increasingly vocal and influential, fighting for rights to land, language, and cultural preservation. Maya scholars and archaeologists work to protect archaeological sites and educate the public about their history. The Maya have also gained worldwide recognition through documentaries, books, and cultural events, inspiring people everywhere to learn about their achievements and history. Ultimately, the story of the Maya is not just about ruins and ancient texts. It's about living people, communities, and traditions that have survived centuries of change and continue to thrive.